Welcome back, everybody. Here we are. We're in our final tutorial today on the alien artifact. To do a quick review, what we've done is we've created our model and UVs all inside Zbrush, doing some displacement modeling, and then creating some basic textures, and then we imported or exported it out to the Substance Painter, where we created our basic maps to generate the materials, the normals, the ambient occlusion, the curvature, and position maps. We did all that in Substance Painter, and then we did all the texturing to create some rust and grime over our little artifact. And today we're going to take all that stuff that we've already done, and we're going to go inside Element 3D to do this little turntable that I got going on here. This is the one I did a couple days ago, just to test things out. And we'll even get some optical flares going in there in our little portholes. And you can see our rust down in here, our little metal material, all our grime in there, and I'll even show you how to make this dish rotate around the top up here. So first we're gonna, to make that dish rotate, we have to do just a little bit of dissection of our base mesh. So first we're going to actually go back into Zbrush. I'm going to close him down and we'll go into Zbrush real quick. Go ahead and import your original base mesh that you exported out in the first lesson. In my case it's demo 86K, because that's how large it is. It's 86,000 polygons. It could be a little different for you. Alright, import them in, drag them onto the canvas. We're going to do T for edit. Turn him to a basic material. And what we need to do is export the hole down here. We need to export him out separately, and then we need to and then the dish itself we have to export out by itself. So, and I'll show you how to do that. It's quick and easy. I'm going to do select lasso. Zoom in a little bit here so we can see what we're doing. And then you do a Control Shift, and then just draw a lasso around most of it here. We don't want to capture the actual antenna part there. And then just do Control Shift A, and that'll close off all the geometry we selected. Now go into your subtool and just do Split Hidden. Now we've separated both of them. They're their own unique geometry. But the nice thing is we're not going to have to go back to Substance Painter and fix anything. It's still going to be able to use the maps we already generated, which is a great deal, because each one of these, the UVs are still identical. So I'm going to go ahead and rename each one. I'll name him Dish, and then rename Hull. Okay. Now go to Export. Just export them back to your folder so you can find them. And then go up to Dish, Export. Alright. And just to prove to you that it does work, I'm going to load up our texture real quick. So open up your texture panel and import. And we'll have to go find our all our maps that we generated inside Substance Painter. And if you go to your Documents, Substance Painter, Export, you should have probably created a folder inside there when you originally made it. Just all depends on where you export it to. So I'm going to load up the base color, open, and select him again in the texture panel. Turn anti-aliasing on, and then just do Flip V. Because you remember, everything that's exported out texture-wise, the V coordinates are flipped. So we got to flip them when we bring them back into ZBrush. So now we'll select our hole, go down to Texture, and now pick your base mesh, or base color in this fact. And as you can see, everything lines up perfectly. Alright, if you hit your up arrow, it'll take you back to your dish, and then select it again, And as you can see, everything lines up perfectly. Like I said, they're using the same UVs, so you still have just the one map or handful of maps. You don't have to create a totally unique set of maps for those two separate objects. They can utilize the same map. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and then I will meet you inside After Effects, and we will start playing with Element 3D. Okay, we are back inside After Effects. I am using the current version of After Effects. It's CC 2014. I do have a Creative Cloud membership, so I'm pretty sure you can probably do some of this in CS6, but I'm not sure how well it works. How Element 3D works with CS6, so you're probably going to need to have CC 2014 to really get the full power of this plugin. So here we are. Let's do some import real quick. We want to get all our maps in here real fast. So I have to go back to my documents, Substance Painter, export, demo, and we're gonna grab all of them except our height map. There we go. Import all those in. Now with your emissive, click and drag him to here. It creates its own composition. We can come back to him later. Create a new composition, and I'll just call this demo for grins and giggles here. We want to set it to use one of these presets real quick here. I just want, I think 720, but I want it at 24 frames per second. And aspect is good, square pixels good, and we're just going to do a 30-second duration. Keep the background color black, and then click OK. Now we can take all our maps, deselect your JPEG. We want the actual composition for the emissive. Click and drag them in, and you can go ahead and click the little eyeball to turn them off. We don't need to see them inside the composition. Now right click down in your composition down here, and we'll go to New, Solid, and I'm going to go ahead and just make him black, and call him E3D for Element 3D, just so we can find him easier. And we will right click, do another New, and Camera. We're going to keep it at the default preset of 35mm, and click OK. Click OK. You can change, you can do whatever camera you want. I just like using 35mm, and we will go to E3D real quick. Right click, go to your effects, drop down to Video Copilot, and now Element. Give it a second to activate. Now, mind you, Element 3D is uses your graphics card, so make sure your driver is up to date and you're using the most recent Element 3D version. I have version 2, and when I click in there, I'll show you exactly which version I'm using. I'm using the latest one. Under your custom layers inside the effects panel, under Element 3D Element, go to Custom Texture, and we want to load up all these maps that we have in here. So as you can see, you can load up a lot of maps in here. Load up to 10 of them. Alright, now we have everybody loaded up. Let us go to Scene Setup. Then I can show you up here, I'm using Element 2.0.7. That's the current version as of this date of making this video. And you can even see up here what card I'm using. I'm using an older card. It's a GeForce GTX 670. and with 2 gigs of video RAM. And even with that amount, I still have on the highest settings, I can really I can I can get the screen to flicker and everything on using Element 3D. So it's, like I said, it's pretty intensive on your video card. So I'm going to try to take it easy here, so I don't get a whole bunch of interruptions in our tutorial here. And all I did over here, under the view options, I turned off the grid, show ambient occlusion. And now let's go ahead and import our model. And you want to pick let's go ahead and pick the hole. And under alignment, do from model. Give it a second. Now it comes in itty bitty here. You can hit normalize size and it'll scale it up for you, but because the way we're doing the alignment from model, we have to do it by hand. So real quick, we want to scale him up, I believe 8,000. Just type that into your scale. Okay. So now we got him loaded up. Let's go ahead and import our dish real quick. And from model, not model center, from model. Click on our dish. We need to do the same scale to him. 8,000. Boom. And as you can see, he lined them up perfectly to where we had him inside ZBrush. And that's the whole reason I did do the normalized size, because it would do it from the center of each of the models. And so it would scale it up to the right size, but it would have put the dish exactly where I want them. And that's why I did that. So let's go click back on our hull. And let me see real quick, before we mess with the material, go ahead and click on Optimize Mesh, which is under your Surface Options. And if you watch up here, you'll notice a difference when I click it, as it actually reduced the amount of polygons that it's going to render. And it does it really, really well. You'll only really notice a slight difference whenever we apply our normals, if you click that on and off. But it is going to help speed up the turning and all that inside Element 3D. It'd make it a lot more responsive if it gets rid of some of the excess polygons. So now let's go to our materials. I'm going to click all these on, with the exception of occlusion and environment. Now we can start plugging in our textures that we put into our custom layers. So under your diffuse, we'll go to base color. Click OK. Glossiness, we're plugging in our roughness. Reflectivity, put in your metallic. Illumination, we want to plug in our emissive. And normal, go to your normal OpenGL. Now if we go down our basic settings here, we're going to set the ambient to 0. Set your specular multiplier, we'll bump him up to 200. Reflectivity, let's bring him to 75. And real quick, I forgot to do something up here under reflectivity. Change your output white to 0.75. Alright, now we'll come back down here. And then go down to your illumination. And let me me turn him so you can see where he's at here, and it's going to be in these portholes here. Back to intensity, do 75%. And Fresnel, we're going to do 0.5. Alright, so now we got our basic material all set up on the main hull of the artifact here. And all you have to do is right click, copy material, open up your dish, right click, paste material. And there we go. And let's go to see if I'm forgetting anything. Oh, glossiness. Raise him up to 100%. Alright, real quick, just to get rid of this white cast over our reflections and everything, go ahead and go under your presets, environment tab, basic 2K, there we go. We'll go with this one over, it's 05. Seems to get it pretty close to where we had it. I think we still need to do some tweaking here. Our reflectivity is kind of losing our information in here. Give me just a second, I'll figure this out. Hold on. Okay, I think I figured this one out here, guys. Go ahead and raise him up to 100 on reflectivity, but go back to your reflectivity texture channel. Go ahead and reduce that output to 0.5. And now you can see we're starting to get some of our original base color back in here. And I think we'll be a little bit better off now. And since we only modified the dish one, go ahead and right click, copy, go down to your hull, right click, paste. Now that should have cleaned him up down there too. Alright, I think we are golden for now. And we can go ahead and click OK. Go back out to our main scene here. And as you remember in previous videos, if you hit C, it starts going through your camera controls. This one here was just a pan. And then we'll just kind of center him up there. And I'm just going to keep this resolution at half. I know it's a little small for you guys, but I got to keep my GPU from overheating. So if we go to this little symbol here on the, by hitting C, that's our zoom in. Or it's not necessarily zoom, it's actually a position on the Z space of the camera. And then C, this is like a, as you can see, we can orbit around the center, or the point of interest, which is pretty much dead center to the model. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom him out. Now, you can do just a traditional, have the object rotate, but we're not going to do that today. I'm going to kind of do what I showed you in that video in the beginning, where we actually zoom in and out of the model. And it's more dynamic, and I think it's just a lot more interesting to look at. So, first, we want to set up our radar dish here. So, let me get up here a little bit. And the way we control the radar dish is through our group 2. which I don't think I set up. Yeah, well, let me go back to scene setup. No, I didn't. Okay, so it's all these are on group 1. We want to do a new folder, or a new group folder. Change it to group 2. Drag your dish up to folder 2. Now click OK. Now they're 2 separate objects. So we've got group 1, which is our hull, group 2, which is our dish. So you can, if you wanted, you do particle look here, you can actually go into, not multi-object, particle rotation, and you can actually, if you wanted, you could just dial on this one here, and you can see how he rotates around the center of the object, which is great. If you want to just do that, that's fine. So let me show you something here. Now, if you wanted him to tilt up and down, you would want to use the X rotation, but I'll show you what the problem is here. See how he's going all over the place here? That's a problem, because the X rotation is based on the center of the object, the center of the original object that we originally separated inside Zbrush. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. So I actually want to be able to tilt him up and down. So let me show you how I did that. Go into group 2, go into group utilities, and then create a group null. Okay, now it's going to create this null, and we can actually manipulate just that down here. So let me go up to group null. I'm going to click on him, hit enter, and I'm going to call him dish null. And the reason and as you can see where the point of origin is, it's down here in the center of the original object. So that's not what we want. I mean, like I said, we could still go into our transform on this null here and do Y rotation. And as you can see, we could still control that dish. But we still have the same problem. If we try to do an X rotation, as you can see, problem. So Control Z. What we have to do is create a second null. That's not linked up to him just yet. So we want to go to Layer, New, Null Object. Alright. And switch your modes here real quick, if it's not, because you want to find this little box right here. And this will turn it into a 3D object. Okay, now it snaps it to the center of the world. Do transform, and we want the position. We want him to, the second one in is your Y position. We want to drag him up to about the center of that shape. Let me get our camera controls here. We want to zoom in pretty close so we can see what's going on here. Okay. Now I want to, go ahead and switch our views real quick. Let's go to top so we can see exactly what we're doing here. And I'm going to chance it here, and I'm going to go full res here on us. This may crash us. We'll see. Oh, not too bad. Alright, now I want to rotate him on the Y, so this way he lines up pretty much with the dish. And as you can see, he's kind of orientated the correct way. Actually, we can flip him around so we can see it. There we go. Now he's peeking right out that antenna there. Zoom back out, and we'll go to active. Zoom to the side here, or best we can. We should have lined that dish up right on an axis originally, but I did not think of that. So it's just kind of things you want to keep in mind. when you have to rig things in other programs. Want to do X rotation. Want him kind of aligned here. Let me zoom out with the camera. I keep on saying zoom, but we're actually just moving the camera is all we're doing. Yeah, mess with that. X until he kind of lines up dead center there. We can actually bring him up just a hair more. And this is all going to vary depending on how you created your model originally. So we can actually do a Z rotation if we wished. Really doesn't matter, you can actually... No, we don't need the Z rotation. I think we're going to be okay. It really is not that big of a deal as long as we get that center point right there to right there. As long as we get that there, we'll be okay. Now, all you have to do is go to your... We're going to name him... we don't want to double click him. We just want to enter. No. Stop. Enter. And we'll do dish control. Alright, now we got our little controller here, so let me zoom out just a little bit. Now go to your dish control now, open up your transform here, and now you can manipulate the X and Y rotation without any hassle. But first, before you do that, go down to your dish null, and we just need to parent him to dish control. There we go. Now, open up your dish control, transform. And now, if we do X, Control Z back a little bit here. I'm going to get it back to where, there we go. This way the X is zeroed out there. I think that was causing some issues there. Alright, now let's go ahead and just parent him back here. Now let's open him back up. Let's do X rotation, see how he works now. He's working a little bit better. Not that good. Worked out pretty well in the last one I did. But it was a different model. So the coordinates were a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of skip that. But that's kind of the basic flow workaround if you need to connect something up together. So obviously I horribly failed on this rendition here. So we are just going to worry about the Y rotation going around the model. So, and that's pretty simple to do. So you can actually, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these two. Yes, I understand. It's not happy that I deleted it, so that's fine. Because now things aren't linked up together, but we don't need them linked up. We can just go into our group 2 and we'll just do a basic rotation. So let's go ahead and just set up that animation. That was a big waste of time for you guys. I'm sorry. So we're on I got it set up on frame 1, set Y rotation, click the little stopwatch, go to the end frame by clicking him over here, and then just type in we'll just type in 3. We'll get him spinning real good. So, and if we scrub through the timeline, you'll see he's scanning around like crazy. Alright, so I made this more complex than it needed to be, guys. So, alright, now let us set up our Illumination channel to get these little portholes doing something more than just kind of just sitting there in the dull blue that don't make any sense. So drag him back up in the scene. Go into group 1. Actually, go into your render settings and go ahead and enable glow. Alright, as you can see, they've already lit up there, and it's using our Illumination channel. Perfect. But let's make them pop a little bit more. We're going to go to Layer, New, Solid. Actually, first, we don't want to do that just yet. We need to create a duplicate channel, or a duplicate element 3D here. Since we already have our animation set up nice and neat here, up here, we can go ahead and do, I want you to just select him, and there's a cool little script. We're going to do run script, and I'll give you a link to this, and it's called 3D Pre-Compose. Go ahead and open that up, and it's made by Video Copilot, and all I want to is, I'm going to call this Flare Mask. And then under Camera, have him checked on, and Link Properties. Click OK, and leave Exist and Copy. Okay, now it's basically made a duplicate version of that right there. Double click him. Let's go into here. We want to, under Element 3D, we can go ahead and throw away the roughness. We can throw away the normal. We can throw away the metallic. And we can even throw away... Okay. We don't need all that extra information. All we want is the emissive channel. And I also want it to be under preview. So this way it's not trying to render any shadows and bump maps and all the other jazz. Now go to Output and do, instead of Composite, we want to do Illumination. Boom. Now it's just our little illuminated lights there. That's what we want. So we can close him down, and you can actually turn the visibility off. So now every time we do a camera move in this comp here, that illumination mask is going to rotate with it. So let me just do a quick rotation in here, and then turn him back on, and you can see he's followed him perfectly. And that's what that 3D Pre-Compose does for you. It links up the camera in here with the camera in the flare mask. So it's quick and easy. I just wish it would do the same thing with nulls, but you would have to link everything together between compositions. So with enough said there, let's go ahead and get our optical flares going. Layer, New, Solid. Let's call it Flares. Right click and go under Effect, Video Copilot, Optical Flares. Let it boot up there. And go under Source Type. We're going to go under Luminance, and then under Source Layer, pick Flare Mask. And there we go. Now it's using the flares, or the illumination channel from that flare mask to generate all our lens flares. So now let's, instead of render mode on black, just render it on transparent. and now it'll render over the top of it. Well, let's go under options real quick under there, and see, I don't know if you guys have got this, but go under your preset. I just go under light. I'm not sure if this is the pro set or not, so I'm sorry if you don't have it. And I believe, where was it? Beam. Click OK. And there you go. Let me zoom in with the camera. And everything's going to follow with it. It's going to increase size and intensity just based on how large that mask is with the flare mask. But you know something? That's not really working for me. That blue light there, it's not really floating my boat there. So let's go down to our emissive channel. Double click it. Let me zoom out to where we can see it. It's on the outside here. That's just the way our UV's laid out. So right click, do effect, and then go to color correction, hue and saturation, and then click on the master hue till you find a color you like. I think I'm going to go with red. Go back to our demo, and there you go. It's already updated for us. We could turn our camera around here. Pretty cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up our animation real fast. Make sure we're on the first frame, click him there. Let's close down our emissive. There we go. We don't need to see him anymore. Let's find a good starting frame. Let me zoom back out here so we can get like a large view here, so we can get everybody in here. Get kind of a hero shot here. This is all your own personal preference here. I'm just going around and finding something I like. Alright, there we go. That'll work for now. So go every 5 seconds or so, and let's go open up our camera real fast. Click on point of interest and position. And about every 5 frames. Or not every 5 frames, but every 5 seconds. Change your camera. Change your camera angle. You can change your pan if you want. Bring him over here. We can zoom him in if we wanted. And we'll go to 10 seconds here. Get a little more zooming around here. Come down, take a look at the bottom hub here. And let's go to 15 seconds. And then we'll go to 20. We'll go up and take a look at our dish here. Figure out which way he's pointing here. And then we'll kind of, this way we're kind of locked onto him as he's turning around there. Let's go to 25. And we'll come back down. Like I said, it's all personal preference there. Definitely play with those lens flares. Those are always fun. Get them in there. And sometimes you get real close to them and they'll blow out everything. And now take your first one here, select those two, Control C, go to your last frame, and Control V. And now we just plugged them in. So let me see if I can scrub through this without it crashing on me. Very cool. Very nice little turntable we got going on here. Not necessarily a turntable, but a little more dramatic. I like this one. I like doing this a little bit better. Okay, now let's go ahead and set up our lights real quick, and then we'll set up our shadows on the model. I'm just going to set up one light, new layer, new, light, and I'm going to do a spotlight, 150%, 85 cone angle, feather, 100, fall off smooth, radius 100, fall off 50, cast shadows, shadow darkness 100, shadow diffusion 200 pixels. Alright, now we got to get him lined up, because he's going to be, I think, in the last spot from the last light you made. So let's go ahead and click off him. Let's go to top view, and we can see where he's at, and you can see our camera is all the way up here. So click on your arrow up there, your move tool, and then without clicking Y, Z, X or whatever, just kind of click on that last little point there, and you'll see that you can drag him around, and he's going around the point of interest, which is basically the center of the world space we got going on. So let's go ahead and click active camera, see how that looks. So obviously he's pointing down at the center of it. We want him to be up top here, or more coming off the top. So let's look at front. Let's see if that'll give me a good angle. Yeah, let's go right, left. That's a little bit better. So same deal. Just click on that little point there, and we can pull and drag him up. Alright, so let's go back to our active. So let's go, we can scrub through this real fast, see if it lets me here. It's not bad, not bad. See what it looks like when we take a look at the dish here. It's not bad. He kind of rotates right back when we're looking at the dish, and that's going to work out pretty well. I may angle him up just a little bit more. So let's go back to our left. Yeah. May have to drag him. Oop. Click off him. There we go. There we go. Getting some specular hits on the dish now. And go back to your active. There we go. So now, let's go ahead and go to our E3D. Do a shadows. Enable. We'll see how those are looking. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. That's nice right there, and I'm just going to keep it at shadow mapping for now. You can change it to ray trace, just depends on what you're looking for. Turn them back on. So let us go back, let's find something where we're looking at it pretty close. So right now everything's kind of preview quality here. We now have the shadows. So now let us work with our ambient occlusion, which we had off, just to get everything set up, because you want to keep all the bells and whistles turned off until you're close to rendering time. And we're going to increase him quite a bit. Now add some more shadows to it. We don't want maybe that high. And that throws an ambient occlusion across the whole model. Both sets of models there. Alright, we can take a quick look around, see how things are looking here. Not too shabby. We may mess with the bump map a little bit. Let me find a good spot that we can play with here. Obviously, you might want to have a second light going on in here. That would help things out, sell it a little bit better. But like I said, I'm going to keep it to 1 for now, just for the sake of the tutorial and the sake of my video card. Okay. Not looking too bad. Let me get a good spot here. Alright, let's go ahead, and now we can add, go all the way back up. We're going to add this right below the flares. Do layer, new, layer, layer, there we go, new adjustment layer. And now, under this, right click him, do effect, and stylize, glow. Okay, we can see a couple of the specular hits there. Let me scroll around, see if we can find a part that's a lot more light to it. That doesn't have the lens flares interfering with it. That's a little bit better. And we can increase the radius of it, even increase the intensity. So let's go back up over here. Oh, there we go. Now we can see it. The intensity is probably just a little too high. We'll just do 1.1. Knock it back a bit. You can bring up the threshold so it's not so, it doesn't capture everything. And now let's go ahead and add a color correction, levels. And we're going to crush it just a little bit here. Make it a little bit darker. Add a lot more contrast to it. We can bring up the whites a little bit if we wanted. You can actually probably want to do this before the glow. You can mess with the gamma. That's your center one right there. There we go. Yeah, it's looking a lot better. A little more realistic. And that is about it, guys. Definitely on your when you're about ready to start rendering, definitely go into your down here in, I believe, my output. Yeah, your super sampling, your multi sampling, definitely, and then the sampling and Elimination. Definitely switch them on or off as needed, just to give you. It won't be so sharp on some of those specular highlights, and you'll see why if you're zoomed in a little bit closer. You'll see a lot of, yeah, it ends up just being too sharp. So definitely click all them on, and then add it to your render key and render it out, and you'll have a nice little animation to show off your model you made in Zbrush Substance Painter and rendered it all out nicely in Element 3D. I hope this was useful for everybody, and definitely leave some comments in the video and tell me how you did. Show me your results. get back with me in ZBrush Central. I'm there all the time. Feel free to drop me a line there, or Facebook, Google+. I'm all over the place. So we will talk to you later, and have fun.